Hello everybody, welcome back. It is finally the final day. That sounds repetitive, but hi, I'm Dana. Welcome back to the final day. Thank you for sticking with me for not just 14 days of sunscreen, but a bonus 15th day, which was awesome and fun. Now I feel like I'm gonna be expected to do something like that each year, but no biggie. Anyway, so what I am going to be doing today is I'm going to be wrapping it all up, tying it in a nice little bow, sending it off, you know, that kind of thing. So what I'll do is I will be going through my favorites, the ones that are average, nothing necessarily wrong, but I don't find them super special, and then the ones that I think are a hard pass and just not what I would recommend. So I will be doing that first, and then I'm also going to be going through the sunscreens that I think are best for the different skin types. Now, you know, this always is like, take it with a grain of salt. This is a recommendation based off of my skin type, which is normal, balanced. Also where I live, there's so many factors that like, it's really hard for me to kind of give the most comprehensive kind of look at it because, for example, I live in the South in North Carolina. It gets hot and humid. Today it's not humid, but yesterday it was super humid. Also, we don't have the air conditioning on super high. I never leave it very high. So there's so many little factors that people forget about. If I blasted the AC all summer long and, you know, never left my house, then my skin would be a lot more dry. So keep that in mind. I try to like just give you a general sense of it, but I also want to say, and this is the caveat for all 15 days and today as well, that mineral sunscreens tend to be drying. Like that is just a fact of life. Zinc oxide, the ingredient itself, can be quite drying. So a lot of brands will counteract that and make it a more hydrating, moisturizing formula. But if you are wearing them day in, day out and you have super dry skin, you may live in maybe like a very dry climate as well. It's just a fact of life. I mean, it's not gonna happen to all people, but keep that in mind. So that kind of coupled with my recommendations, you know, just use your best judgment. This is not gospel, this is my opinion. People sometimes come to my channel and they're like, you're not a board certified dermatologist. And I'm like, what? Come on. I never claimed to be. I just had my opinion. I give my thoughts. I show you what it looks like. I hope that you can make an informed decision from that. I'm never trying to sell you on anything. That's just not my style. So take it with a grain of salt and we'll get into it. Okay, let's start with my favorites because I think that's the most fun. The first one, I feel like this should come as no surprise, and these are not in a particular order, but my absolute, maybe favorite sunscreen of the last few years is the INNBEAUTY Project Mineral Sun Glow. This sunscreen, it just has stolen a piece of my heart because it is, in my opinion, one of the most perfect mineral sunscreens. Now, it's not water resistant, it's not like sweat resistant, so if you're looking for that, kind of that's an out. But I think for what it is, it's supposed to be a nice glowy kind of blurring sunscreen, and it comes in 3 shades, so it's like, some of my complaints with some of the other brands is that the shade match is so off. And now, of course, 3 shades is not gonna fit everyone, but I feel because they have not put as much pigment in this as some of the others, it is a little bit more flexible. It also is good for all skin types, or most skin types. It sits beautifully underneath makeup. It's just a stellar one. This is my 3rd bottle. I don't know how much more I can say about it, but I truly love this one. The other one that I think I would say, these 2 are probably my top 2 recommendations, is the Undefined Beauty R&R Sun Serum. I especially love the fact that they came out with 3 shades. So they started off with their middle shade, which is like the medium shade now, and then they came out with a lighter shade, and then they came out with a deeper shade. And so the fact that they are able to do that, it's a small Black-owned business. That fact is amazing and incredible. And also the formula is just impeccable. It is more moisturizing, it is more fluid than a lot of the others, but it actually blends in, it sits nicely on the skin, it sits beautifully underneath makeup. It's probably better for those of you with drier skin. For me, I can't wear this as much in the summertime because I already look glowy enough, but I just can't say enough good things about this, and I always recommend it. It's also one of the more affordable. I would say, I know you guys are gonna, some people like to like come at me for saying affordable because this is $35 and I think this is, what did I say, 25? That's affordable though. That nowadays, unfortunately, those are affordable for a tinted mineral sunscreen because tinted mineral sunscreens just tend to be not great. Even untinted mineral sunscreens, in my opinion, are like chalky and gross. So I say spend a little bit more money if that's a lot to you. I understand, and get something that actually is gonna work really well. Two more that are kind of, I wanted to throw in because I find that people with more oily skin just have the hardest time finding sunscreens for them, especially mineral sunscreens, because like I said in the beginning, they are typically more drying. And that doesn't mean like the instant you put it on your face, but throughout the course of a day, and if you're wearing it multiple days in a row or weeks or months. So that said, there aren't as many options. I'm always looking for more, so don't worry. If I see any, I will check them out and review them. But for the most part, I would say that the Australian Gold is kind of the holy grail for very oily skin people. I am going to be checking out the new one. I noticed that in my review, a lot of people were saying that this one has been discontinued. It's still available on Amazon and on the Australian Gold website, or I think I got it at Drugstore. I forget where. It's linked. I'll link it, of course. But they do have a new version. I've also heard that it's very similar in format, so I'm going to be picking that up after 14 or 15 days of sunscreen and reviewing it. But I do think that this is a really stellar option. The problem with it is the oxidation. I find that this oxidizes way more than some of the others. And this is the lighter shade. You know, I have the, what is it? Fair to light skin. And if you watched this video, you saw how much it oxidized. So keep that in mind. You know, it's not perfect, but it is an option. And then as far as another one that is kind of, I mean, it's supposed to be a more blurring and matte sunscreen. This is the Ultraviolet Velvet Screen. I love this little baby. This one, in my opinion, is not necessarily blurring if you really truly have oily skin. But I think if you do have more dry skin or normal skin and you're not necessarily putting on a ton of skincare underneath, you can make this really nice and blurring. So I think it's a really good option. It is very thick, reminiscent of some of those other ones. The Naked Sundays comes to mind, that are just like, they feel so thick when you first apply it, but a little bit of warmth on your hands and blending it out and it will blend in nicely. And I love that this one really has no noticeable oxidation. So if you are on the lighter fair side, this is a really good option just because of that. And then I would say like the honorable mention is the Sarah Creel Brilliant Repair Shield. Now, the reason that this is an honorable mention is because I only like the shade Staycation. I have the other shade, which is Vacation. This is too bronzy. This, if you're looking for more of a bronzing sunscreen, the Vacation, the original shade, would work. But I think the Staycation for me is a really nice, kind of pretty decent match for my skin. I don't always use the full 1/4 teaspoon with this. Sometimes I'll use it as a topper sunscreen underneath another sunscreen. But I do love the like radiance that it gives. It's got this almost like sheen, kind of like iridescence to it that just really makes your skin look absolutely glowing. And for that reason, I definitely put it in my honorable mention. I also understand that this one's one of the more pricey ones. So it kind of comes down to your preferences in terms of how much you want to spend, but it is a beautiful option. If you're similar to my skin tone, I wouldn't say much lighter. I think it would be a little too dark, but I think it is a good one for that radiance. Okay, I'm not gonna go through every single one of the middle ground, the average. I'm just gonna say the names of them because otherwise this video will be 18 hours long. But in no particular order, we have the go-to skincare. This is the Nifty 50. This one, there's just a little bit of a cast. It's a little too greasy for my liking, and I think you can find better options elsewhere, but it is kind of affordable. And then we have the Lancer Skincare. This one, I need to sometimes put a little bit of like bronzer or something on to cancel out that like teensy bit of a white cast. But because it is $60, I find that you can get this formula elsewhere and not have to spend $60. This goes for the Darphine as well. One of the comments on this video is that the Clinique Pep Start, I believe. I've tried that one before, but they are very similar formulas. They actually have the same bottle, if I remember correctly. So I would say if you liked what this looked like on me, try the Clinique first, and it's a cheaper option. Then we have the Sente. Again, this is just, to me, an overpriced sunscreen. I don't think it's worth your money, and you can find similar formulations elsewhere. Moving on, we have the Color Science. This is the Sun Forgettable Total Protection Face Shield Flex. This was user error, not user error, buyer error. I bought the medium shade. I should have bought a lighter shade. But that said, I can't ever get behind this one. I've tried it many times where it's just, I'm never gonna use the full amount to get the 1/4 teaspoon of protection. And therefore, I like lots of foundations better than this, but This one becomes a very controversial choice, so I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think it works for like skincare, sunscreen lovers like me. So middle ground. Another one that's middle ground is the Starseed from Herbivore. This one had a weird kind of undertone and cast to it. I don't think it's terrible, and I think I could make it work, and I do make it work with my like bronzers and whatnot. And then you could put like a SPF bronzer over top. But I just don't feel like I have to do all those steps. And it also is quite matte. So if you are on the lighter, fair skin tones and you are more oily skin, this could be an option for you. So that's why I'm not saying that it's terrible. I just find that it's like, there are a lot of little nuances that you need to fit into to like this one. This one is the Sun Better. I don't even know the name. The name is so long. Maybe my camera will focus and you can read it. There we go. I'm so glad I got just the sample or travel size because people have been telling me to try this one for years. I found it so underwhelming. I found it to be quite thick. It did look really nice once I got my makeup and everything else on, but for however much it is, I always think it's $75. It's SPF 75, and I forget the price. I'm not gonna look it up right now. I just know it's expensive. I just don't think that you need to spend that much money to get a really good mineral tinted sunscreen. Like I said before in my favorites, there are a few options there. But I understand the appeal of it because I think a lot of people like the one and done nature of it. And then when they see SPF 75, they're entranced by that. And then the last one in my middle ground average is the Cerecreal in the shade, what is this, Vacation? Yes, Vacation. So this is the original. And as you can see, I don't love that this kind of peeled off. This one's just too dark for me. This is a good option when I use both. A little bit of Staycation. If I feel like I'm looking a little pale, I can put a few drops of the Vacation on over top. But I don't think you need to buy both of these to get a look when you could probably just buy the In Beauty Project and get that kind of same look. So it's middle ground. I'm glad I've tried it, but it's not something I would repurchase. Okay, we're getting to my least favorites, and I don't know if sad to say that for some of these, but let's just get into it. So the first one is the Unsun. Now this brand has been discontinued, so I don't even feel like, I shouldn't like rail on it, but it was just too moisturizing. Like I felt like a grease ball. I wore it all day when I tested it. It just never set, and I didn't love that. I felt like maybe because it's not made for my skin type, which is fine, but it just wasn't something I would ever reach for again. So you can't buy it, so it doesn't really matter. And then we have these two. We have the Odacite, and then we have the Dr. Sam. Oh boy, these two were not it for me. And I'm gonna have to say that the Dr. Sam's was the absolute worst. Now, I really wanted to like this because I love these kind of smaller indie derm brands. And I tried. You saw the video, I tried. I did exactly what she said, the owner of the brand, Dr. Sam, and it still didn't work for me. Now, I understand that the shades, they have 4 shades, so this shade is not right for me, but I just don't know if that first shade is also gonna be right for me. It might be too pale. Yeah, it just felt like something was off, and I didn't know if it was me or the sunscreen. I think it was the sunscreen. And then the Odacite. Another one where it's like this like tiny little 1 ounce package for $60 or $70. Too much pigment, way too much pigment, not really a sunscreen. You're not gonna be getting SPF 50. I can almost guarantee you that nobody who wears this is getting SPF 50 unless they're layering it on top of another sunscreen. Okay, so we got through my favorites and my least favorites. Now I'm gonna run down the different categories that I think these would be best suited for, and I'm gonna try to do it quickly because I don't feel like I need to like give a lot of context for it. So in terms of dry skin, for sure, these are the ones. We have the Unsun, which I already talked about. We have Odacite, R&R Undefined. This one could go dry to normal, I would say. You can even make it work if you are oily, but a lot of powder. Mineral Sun Glow, this is gonna be in every category because I feel like it does fit every category. And then the Dr. Sam's, which would also be for dry skin. Okay, for normal skin. So like I said, the In Beauty Project, it's in every category, just like, I don't need to say it. I think you can make it work no matter what your skin type is. Normal, I would say that the Ultraviolet Velvet Screen would actually be a really good option if you have more normal skin, but it is a little flexible, so I think you can get away with that on dry skin as well. The CeraCreal is probably one of the best examples of a sunscreen for normal skin. It has a radiance, but it's not too nourishing and moisturizing. The Sente is also a good option. I don't find that it leans too matte or too dewy. It's kind of in the middle. Same with the Color Science. This one you really can do a lot with, but I'm never going to use it at the full 1/4 teaspoon. So I do think that that kind of makes a difference. If you wear a little bit less of it, it may be a little bit more dry and you need to put moisturizer underneath. And then we have 2 formulas that I find to be very similar. We have the Lancer and the Darphine. These are both quite fluid. They could work on drier skin, but I don't find that they give you long-lasting hydration, so that's why I put them in the normal balanced category. And then for the last of the normal balanced skin is the Sunbetter. This one also could kind of veer more to the dry side, so I think it's a little bit flexible, but I would say like normal, balanced, sometimes dry. Not super dry though. And then our last category for our dry skin friends, we have 2 options. I told you there's just not a lot of options out there, but of course the Australian Gold and then the Herbivore. Definitely for different skin tones. This one's gonna be for more fair light, and then they say this is light fair, but I would say it leans a little bit light medium and even to the medium shade because it oxidizes so much. So I hope that helps. That's a very comprehensive best, worst, dry, oily, combo, whatever skin. And I hope it wraps it up for you guys. So, okay, so here are all of our swatches. These are all 15 from the 15 days. I tried to put them in order of lightest to deepest. There's a little variation in terms of undertone. And these have all been on my arm for 10 minutes plus. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like freshly applied. Okay, so here we have all of them, and you can see the difference in some of them from first applied to how they oxidize, especially in the deeper shades. I really enjoyed this one. I know, you know, there's always something people want more of, or I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and I'm trying. I take all of your comments, I read them all, I try to respond to everybody, and I also just understand that, like, I paid for this all on my own. None of these were sent to me in PR, so it's over like $500 of sunscreens. I will be selling some of them because I just don't need this many. I already have a lot. So if you're not already following me over on Instagram, go follow me there. It's just my full name, Dana Ripperton. And I will be posting probably there. I'll post here on YouTube, but just to like give the link out. And I'm gonna be selling them over on one of the apps. I forget the name of it, but that way it'll go a little bit smoother than last time. So if you are interested in any of these, I mean, I'm gonna keep some of them, my favorites, but some of the others I'll probably be selling. So that wraps it up. Year 3 is in the books. I hope you enjoyed. Please give this video a like. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I will see you guys in my next video.